Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Pikmin 4, which I just beat the other day. I want to talk about while it's still fresh on my mind. So like normal, I'm just going to talk about my experience with the series prior to this. So I've actually been a Pikmin fan, honestly, as long as I can remember, probably. I played both Pikmin 1 and 2 on the Wii, those like Wii versions, and I liked them a lot, and I actually bought Pikmin 3 day one when it released 10 years ago. I really feel old now, because that was like my childhood game was Pikmin 3, so now I'm just getting old. But yeah, I've loved Pikmin. I even played Bloom when that came out. That was pretty good. For a mobile game, I thought it was all right. Hey Pikmin, we don't talk about Hey Pikmin. We need to forget that happened. But yeah, other than that, I would consider Pikmin to be one of my top 5 game series, just because Pikmin 3 by itself is my 5th favorite game ever made. So that's a big deal for me. So I had very high expectations for this sequel that took literally 10 years. So, prior to playing the game, I didn't really know that much besides, because I played day one, so I didn't have anything spoiled for me, but you wouldn't really have much spoiled in Pikmin anyway, since it's not like a plot-heavy sort of game, but only thing I'd really known about is the stuff that had been shown in trailers, so that's just kind of what I had known, but I think overall, I did have some opinions already formulating in my mind prior to playing. I thought that Ochi, who was the new companion character, he looked a little bit too broken. He looked like he was capable of doing too much, and that made him just breaking the game. It ruined the strategy because he could do everything. So that's what I thought going into it and playing the demo. That was kind of my impression. But other than that, I didn't really have a whole lot of thoughts other than the game. That I thought the characters looked too silly. But yeah, basic overview of the plot. So Olimar somehow ends up on the planet again with the SS Dolphin, which is the ship from Pikmin 1. And he gets stranded and he needs help, and so the Rescue Corp, they try to save him, and then they also get stuck. So then they send the protagonist to come and save everyone, basically. So yeah, that's about it for the plot. Basic overview of the plot, because, I don't really get into plot super, super deep. But, in terms of gameplay, it's essentially the same as, Pikmin 3, where you have, a big overworld where you have to go around and collect all the treasures, and all the collectibles, and fight all the enemies. But it's also like Pikmin 2 now, whereas, you have caves that you can explore, which is, where you're gonna find a lot of, the rescuers, the rescuees, the people that need rescuing. You'll find them, in caves primarily. And that's how you usually progress the story, is by finding the people that you need to progress the story. But yeah, I was just thinking about this earlier, that I think, Pikmin 3 is kind of a modernization of Pikmin 1. It's a modern, in terms of gameplay, it's just a modern version of that. And I think that Pikmin 4 is more a modern interpretation in terms of gameplay of Pikmin 2. So I thought that was kind of a neat dynamic that I never even realized until Pikmin 4 came out, and be oh yeah, what Pikmin 3 is to 1 as 4 is to 2, basically. But as standard procedure for my videos, just gonna go over things that I liked, things I didn't like, and actually for the first time, something I'm so mixed on, I can't even decide if I like it or if I don't like it, so I'm just putting it in the mixed category. Yeah, Pikmin means enough to me that I have to create a new category, so that's how you know I like Pikmin. Anyway, I think first and foremost, the first thing I noticed in the trailer was that these visuals were actually really, really good. I just noticed this in the trailer. It's yeah, that's the Animal Crossing dev team, alright. They make everything look good on Switch. So yeah, so if you didn't know, Animal Crossing and Pikmin have the same dev team at Nintendo. So I'm assuming that Pikmin 4 started development as soon as Animal Crossing was pretty much out in the open. You know, except for like a handful of people that stayed behind for updates for Animal Crossing. But whatever. Just throwing it out there. The graphics themselves are actually really, really nice. And just, you know, going along with like graphics, I think the frame rate too is also like really consistent. Like there were, in my entire playthrough, I did not see a single like noticeable dip in frame rate. Even in handheld, which I did frequently just because I wanted to test it out. Like yeah, you're getting a bit lower resolution in handheld mode, but like there was no noticeable frame rate difference. So you're getting 30 across the board pretty much. But yeah, I think overall, even if the resolution's not the highest, even in docked, it's like 900p, but it still looks very nice. So moving along to more like actual gameplay things that I liked. So this is something that is new that I didn't realize I needed quite as much until it's here now, and that's like that you can move like the ship and the onion, like you can move them to certain locations across the map to make it quicker for Pikmin to go to and forth, like where they're at, and it brings all idle Pikmin at the ship and onion with them when you move them. And I just thought that was just a brilliant idea, just making things a lot more convenient when you need to go like do something like say like you're on like one corner of the map and you need to take something to the other corner. Just move the ship to somewhere that's more like towards the middle, and you're cutting out so much time that what's going to take to have the Pikmin go and take it, and then, you know, have to go over there and get them. So all that stuff. So another thing I was actually surprised by is a complete 180 on my opinion on Ochi. At first, I thought he was just broken, and that he was going to be the be-all, end-all for, like, a lot of, like, situations in the game. But actually, he's more of just, like, a partner character that can just do more functionally. Kind of like how in Pikmin 3 you had like the two other captains, but now you just have one captain that's just better overall. So Ochi can like basically like instead of like having one captain, you know, do the go here function where it just goes automatically without you putting in anything, you can just have the Pikmin 4 protagonist just like tell Ochi, hey, go find all the idle Pikmin and bring them back to me so I don't have to do that myself. And that makes things really convenient, so you don't have to like individually put in, okay, go here, then go back to where you know, the protagonist is, and then you get all your Pikmin. It's just like one simple command, just hey, go fetch them and come back. And yeah, so that, I mean, I think that Ochi overall is just like, it was actually a really good character, and I'm really surprised that my opinion just completely changed about it. So another thing that I liked is that they have like a new bunch of items that you can use at your disposal that have never been seen in the series before. But also, along with that, they have the returning things, but instead of just like finding them across the map, you actually just have them in an item shop where you spend like your raw, like you gain raw materials on the map, and using the raw materials you can like purchase these upgrades and items from one of the guys at the base camp. So like one of the things is this like running speed. You get to increase like your running speed for you and Ochi. And yeah, that makes a significant difference. And you know, other things like, you know, durability for each of them, like elemental protection for each of them. Like it goes on for a while, but you get a lot of really nice upgrades for that. And not only for that, but you can also get upgrades for Ochi as well. You know, like upgrade his bite, so when he's attacking enemies it does more damage. Upgrade his ability to like pull things. Upgrade his ability to dig and swim faster. All sorts of things that are really helpful. So I like the fact that you can like upgrade everything. And also caves are back. I thought that was a really good idea, because I in Pikmin 2 I was kind of like on the fence about caves because I thought they were fun, but I also thought they were like too much of a deviation from like the, you know, Pikmin 1 formula, where, because I kind of just like exploring the map the most because it was such a big like overworld, instead of like exploring these tiny cramped caves with enemies that'll probably kill me because it's tiny and cramped. But regardless, I mean, I I think that works a lot better in this because you have Ochi with you, and so even though you have like 100 Pikmin with you, they're all like really close by, so they're not going to get hit by random things, like, which is mostly what happened to me in Pikmin 2, which is a GG skill issue for me, but whatever. I enjoyed that. I think caves worked better this time around. And another thing that was just a huge quality of life improvement that I loved. So in 1 through 3, if you call a Pikmin to you, you usually have to use the whistle. But if you want to just get one in particular, if you touch it, it'll, follow you. But it would only do it if you touched it, not just like the things around you. But now in Pikmin 4, like if the radius for like being close to it is extended good enough, so like if you just get like like within like a foot or two of it, it'll like a foot or two, respectively to the height of the people, not actually a foot or two, or else that'd be like super big because everyone's small in Pikmin. But you know what I mean? Like if you get like close enough to it, it'll start following you. So like just walking by the onion, like you don't have to like get every single individual Pikmin, touch them all. Just like walking straight through the middle, it'll pretty much call all of them back to you. So I thought that was like a nice quality of life thing. And I mean, okay, so this next one is complicated, but I mean, the soundtrack itself for a Pikmin game, it is pretty good. But I mean, Pikmin games in general aren't, like, they're not making bangers. They're just making nice, environmental sort of soundtracks that they fit with the area, but not necessarily something that like you'd be like, oh dang, that slaps. But I mean, I think overall the soundtrack was good. No complaints about it. And something that's also new is Night Expeditions, which is basically like a tower defense minigame where you essentially just have to protect like the tower that the glow Pikmin come from. And the night either ends when you run out of time, or if you've defeated all the enemies before the timer ends and the tower still survives by the end of it. So, I mean, I thought it was a pretty nice, like, little break from just, like, the normal gameplay of Pikmin. Just, like, I'm kind of tired of that. Let me do this for, like, 2 nights or so. Two in-game days worth of, night expeditions. And then, okay, moving back to, like, standard Pikmin gameplay. I thought that was a nice breather. Anyway, also something that's kind of different. So most Pikmin games, like 1, 2, and 3, have like 4 levels. Pikmin 3 is a little bit different, where it has a 5th level, but that entire level is essentially just like the final battle. But Pikmin 4 is like, no, we're just going to give you like 6 giant levels instead. So it kind of deviates in that terms, where it's giving you more content than you would find in a lot of other ones. So I thought that was really nice. But I don't want to get into like a whole lot of stuff about that, because then that might be like spoilery for some people, and I don't want to talk too much about that. Speaking of spoilers, I'm about to spoil some things, but it's a positive thing. So if you don't want to hear anything that might potentially be a spoiler because it happens midway through the game, click to whatever, skip to whatever thing is on the screen right now. Okay, so basically, in this game, which is something I liked, all onions are actually available. So like in Pikmin 3, white and purple Pikmin were just absent from the game entirely until you got to multiplayer. But in this, you can literally find like the white Pikmin and the purple Pikmin onions like deep in like a challenge cave. So if you do the challenge cave, you get white Pikmin and purple Pikmin onions that you can just like grow them naturally instead of just from the candy bulbs, whatever those little flower things are called. And another thing I really liked was also like about probably more than halfway, but like sometime towards like 2/3 way through the game, you unlock like what is essentially like Olimar's story. So you get to see like what happened exactly before he ended up sending his distress signal, which is like the first scene in the game. And I thought that was also like a nice little thing that they added. Alright, so now things that I'm not too crazy about, things I didn't really like about the game too much. The first thing is that you're limited to 3 Pikmin in the overworld at a time. So 3 Pikmin types. So you can only, if you had like red Pikmin, yellow Pikmin, and blue Pikmin out, you could not use literally any other Pikmin unless you happen to find them out in the wild or something. So that's kind of a bummer, because in Pikmin 3 you could use all 5 if you had unlocked them at that point. But then they kind of go back and just have it be like, no, you have to go back to the onion every single time you want to switch out a single Pikmin type because you found something that requires that Pikmin type. So I thought it was strange that they were kind of changing the, series gameplay loop at that point by limiting you to only 3 at a time. But, yeah. I mean, I feel like that's kind of self-explanatory. I just didn't like how they kind of changed what was previously established as, like, mainline gameplay. And another thing is that this is more of, like, a graphical thing. It's just, like, in certain areas, like, if you're just loading into an area, the textures will, like, arrive, like, later. Like, you'll see, like, a low texture, like, on the ground, and then, like, a second or two later, like, the high-resolution textures start, loading in. So that was just, like, not, like, a huge deal, but I thought it was worth mentioning just because it was noticeable. So, like, if you're, like, just exiting a cave, it'll happen, or if you're in the little hub world, or not hub world, just, like, the Rescue Corps base, and you, like, do, like, the fast travel to a person, you'll notice it on the ground. But I thought it's worth mentioning. But something that is probably the biggest deal that I can think of in this entire game is it's too easy. This game is too easy. I think difficulty was single-handedly the thing they messed up the worst with in this game. Okay, so here's Pikmin 2. Alright? Midway through the game, I am exiting the cave with probably less than 10 Pikmin. Pikmin 4. I'm exiting the final battle cave with about more than half of my Pikmin. That's a big deal. Mainly because Pikmin is known for being very hard and ruthless. So the fact that they're making this really easy, probably to cater to newer fans, is actually very upsetting for older fans who have liked its more difficult side of things. Like, for instance, I was just playing Pikmin 251 just because it was a nice ROM hack game, getting excited for Pikmin 4. And that game is hard, and I love that it's hard. Because that's a part of the fun. It's a strategy game. You need to plan for these unexpected things that might actually happen. So you need to, like, basically, it's about being prepared. But with Pikmin 4, everything dies too easily and too soon. There's not a whole lot of challenge to it. So I was really disappointed that we didn't get, like, more than one difficulty. Because from what I remember, there was no difficulty option. It's just, okay, thrown in the game. Like, if they had something like what they did in Pikmin 3 Deluxe, where it's just, like, they make it harder, and they limit you to only 60 Pikmin, that would have made a huge difference in the difficulty of the game. Even it would have made it a little bit more annoying for, like, overworld traveling and collecting things. Yeah, but yeah, that's just me. I'm sure someone loves that it's easy, but that, I feel like for older fans, people have been fans for 10 years, like me, they probably hate that. And a big reason for why is because of this thing called rewind, where they just be like, oh wait, half your Pikmin just died? Oh, whatever, just go back in time a little bit and just, like, whatever, never happened. So the fact that they're, like, even though it's as easy as it already is, the fact that they're adding rewind is just basically the confirmation for me that they just wanted to make this game accessible to everyone, except for the people that were actually fans of the game before this game came out. They did not cater to previous fans barely at all in terms of its difficulty. Because if they did, then a more difficult, difficulty would have been an option at the beginning of the game. But whatever. So another thing that I'm not a huge fan of, even though this is something that's in Pikmin 2, is the fact that when your Pikmin, like, not really take damage, but if they get, like shooken up because they got knocked off an enemy or something, they will, like, gradually lose the flower on their head. Like, it'll go from, if you upgrade them with nectar, goes from leaf to bud to flower. And if they take damage, or not damage, but just get shaken off or shaken up, it starts reverting from flower to bud to leaf. So that's something that's back in Pikmin 4. It was never something I was such a big... I mean, it was something I kind of never really liked about Pikmin 2. Just because, like, it's not like flower Pikmin do more damage. They just are faster. So the fact that you're just making them slower is just more of an annoyance than, like, anything. So the fact that that's back is kind of annoying, because since that wasn't a thing in Pikmin 3, to the best of my ability, it's been a few years since I played Pikmin 3. But I don't remember that being in that at all. I'm pretty sure it's not in that. But, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. Another thing that's just going along with the difficulty is too easy. So, this doesn't apply to caves, but enemies in the overworld do not respawn ever. So, traditionally what happens is, after a couple days, the enemy comes back. So you have to plan around that. So, like, if there's a big, tough enemy somewhere, you need to plan ahead of time. Okay, he's going to be back on this day, so I need to make this amount of time to just take care of him and get him out the way. But in Pikmin 4, once an enemy is dead, they do not come back. Ever. And if you're in a cave, they will only come back once you've 100%ed the cave. But once you've 100%ed a cave, you probably don't have any reason to come back into the cave anyway. I mean, at least I had no reason to come back into a cave, so it didn't really even matter. But yeah, that's just... The difficulty in this game is just so messed up. Like, I wish they fixed it with an update or something. Just give us a harder mode, like they did with Metroid Dread. But anyway, the plot. I do not like the plot. I don't like getting into the plot, but I feel like it was just too basic and just not that fun, not interesting. It's just silly. I liked Pikmin 3's plot, especially the ending, but I just do not like the plot of this game. It's too simple and too safe. It's another thing where they were not appealing to Pikmin fans. They're appealing to people that have never played Pikmin. But yeah. And along with that, the characters too. I do not like the characters at all. I feel like, of course, Louis and Olimar and the President, they're pretty iconic. Alph, Charlie, and Brendan, not quite so much, but I still like them as characters. And then you have, like, this entire crew of people in Pikmin 4, which are just more annoying than anything. I don't like the characters. Moving on. I don't like the Ice Pikmin. I think the Ice Pikmin are just, like, fundamentally just not very good. Because essentially the only thing they're good for is freezing water so that you can carry things across the water. So, they're good until you discover water Pikmin, blue Pikmin. And when they fight enemies, they just destroy its entire body. So you can't bring it back to the onion because its body's just been completely destroyed. And you can't bring it back to the ship in caves for Sparklium because its body has just been completely destroyed. But what do you get instead? Oh, you get some nectar. Oh, what's this? The nectar... It wears off. The flowers just fade off every time the enemy gets shooken, or not the enemy, the Pikmin gets shaken up or anything. The flower just gets destroyed anyway. It doesn't even matter. So yeah, that's why I don't like Ice Pikmin. Another thing I don't like jumping. For one reason specifically, not because it itself is flawed, but it's because the protagonist can't do it, but Ochi can. I don't like that he can do it, so whenever something is going on, like if I have Ochi running around, like, maybe carrying something back to the ship, or he's, retrieving Pikmin. If I run into something where I need to jump, I can't do it, because he's not there with me. So, essentially, Ochi is more valuable than the actual main character, which is not very smart. So, if they just gave the ability to have him be able to jump as well, this entire thing would have been solved. So, it's not a fault of Ochi, it's a fault that the main character can't jump. Alright, so this is spoiler, so skip to whatever timestamp I just put on screen. They don't resolve the Pikmin 3 cliffhanger. I waited 10 years for this game to come out, and they did not even mention the Pikmin 3 crew or anything.
You get, Louis and Olimar, but that's pretty much it. Nothing about Pikmin 3 is ever, like, discussed or talked about at all. I mean, they even, like, allude to it, where you have these, like, 3 people at the end that are basically, like, the counterparts to Pikmin 3 people. You have, like, the blue guy who's essentially just Alph, and he's, like, the engineer or something. You have the doctor who's, like, the counterpart to Brittany. And then you have the green guy who's, like, the counterpart to Charlie, who's, like, the captain guy of the 3. And they're all from Kopai. I don't know why they wanted to allude to those 3 characters and then not mention them at all. Basically, like, oh, haha, like, maybe they're like parents or something. I don't know, but like, it didn't make sense that they were trying to make this reference and then nothing became of it at all. So that's something I don't really like. So I mean, overall, I did actually really, really enjoy this game. I know I ranted a lot about the difficulty, but I think at its core, like, just like the base gameplay is fun in and of itself. I think even my personal favorite thing about what has been replaying Pikmin 3 over the years, it wasn't never the difficulty, because that was the easiest of the 3 at the time. It was more so like the speedrunning aspect of it, is just to see, like, because I used to play this game every single year, and every single year I'd be like, okay, how many in-game days can I take to 100% the game this time? And then it would just get better every single year. And that accomplishment is what made it really fun for me, not the actual difficulties. Well, I think that the difficulty is important. It's not, like, such a huge, like, thing that it's going to make me, like, absolutely hate the game. Although I am very disappointed about it, nonetheless. But, oh, wait a minute. I forgot to talk about that mixed category. So it's only one thing, but, essentially at the start of the game, you can't spawn 100 Pikmin at a time. You have to find these upgrades for the onion called Flarlick, which will, like, give you 10 more Pikmin at a time. So, well, I do think that sort of makes it better in the beginning. It doesn't make it too easy in the beginning. But, I mean, it's still easy regardless, but it does just make it more tedious for, like, finding things in overworld, because, like, every minute you'll be like, okay, I ran out of Pikmin, because they're all transporting stuff, so now I need to go back to the onion, get more Pikmin, then come back, a minute later, I'm out of Pikmin again, have to go back to the onion. So while it does temporarily fix its easiness just a little bit, it's still easy. But the fact that they're limiting it to you does in fact make it slightly harder than if you had all 100 Pikmin. But it does also make it annoying for trying to transport, like, treasures and stuff back to the ship. So yeah, I mean, in spite of every single criticism I had of this game, it's still a 7 out of 7 for me. I don't know if this is just my biasness for Pikmin shining through, but, I mean, whatever. In my mind, Pikmin 3 is still the best by a pretty big margin, but I can't, like, pinpoint in my mind whether I like Pikmin 2 as my second favorite or Pikmin 4, because I think Pikmin 2 is a lot more quality, but Pikmin 4 is a lot more substance. Like, there's a lot more to do in Pikmin 4 than in Pikmin 2. So, I'm still not decided on that completely, but if anything, I'm really, really hoping this game gets maybe some story DLC or something. It'll probably just be multiplayer like it was in Pikmin 3, but I would really love some story DLC or something. But yeah, final remarks, just, I don't want to have to wait another decade for Pikmin 5. That was so long. I don't know why it took that many years. In 2015, Miyamoto said Pikmin 4 was almost ready. My guess is that he meant Pikmin 4 was Hey Pikmin, so yikes. But yeah, I just want Pikmin. It's such a good series, even if it's flawed in certain areas, at least the newer ones with its difficulty. But I mean, that's my thoughts on the game. I'm just very passionate about this. I don't hate the game. I mean, I gave it a 7 out of 7. Like, I think the difficulty is a big problem, but it's not enough to hold back my, like, love of the gameplay overall. But I mean, that's just kind of my thoughts on this game. Yeah, this is something I'm passionate about, and because I'm so passionate about it, I want to hear what you all have to say in the comments about it, because I kind of don't have a general consensus yet from my friends, because I'm the first one to beat it, because I beat it in 5 days, and it took me 30 hours to beat it, and like my other friends have only put in like 3 hours. So yeah, I want to hear what people who have actually beaten it think too. If y'all have gotten that far, even if you haven't gotten that far, just let me know what you think. That I don't know what the general consensus of this game is yet, except for like the standard, IGN big game, give it a 9 out of 10 or something. So yeah, later.